Can you hear my chomping of goldfish through the whole thing?
Happy Lo-Fi March. That's right. Kicking off a whole month of this.
Lo-Fi March.
It's also...
Yeah, it's Lo-Fi March.
Wait, I'm sorry. Every
day.
Isn't it Women's Month too?
Every day.
You're going to do one of those songs?
What?
Yeah, it's for the women, John.
It's for yeah, because the women.
Lo-fi.
Hey,
got
women
it.
love lo-fi. You know
love
what
it.
women don't need? They
What?
don't deserve song lyrics.
Yeah.
Right? Just instrumentals, right?
Well,
That's
you're
right.
making it.
No,
you're kind of making
Hey,
it that
hey.
way.
You know what
You're
women
Hey?
don't want is highfalutin production. They want
They want
just
it
get back
simple.
to basics.
Back
If
to
you want to,
basics.
if you
What
want to
do
speak
either of you
for
know
all
anything
women in
about
the
women?
first 10
Does
seconds of
anybody
this
that
episode,
should know what they need? It's us. I mean, really, right?
But I think it's interesting.
We got dragged in TikTok.
You
Go
got
ahead.
dragged. You got dragged.
Hey,
I
yeah,
didn't
go
mean
ahead.
to drag.
we don't. You know what? And that's what's great about this episode. We don't need an intro. Just kick right in.
Oh, shoot.
Just-
Oh,
no,
shoot.
help
No,
Go
yourself.
for it. Oh,
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
just
I'm
start
sorry. You know
talking.
Aw, Ryan's butthurt.
Good podcasting. That's what this is right here.
Let's get it. Your wife is
I'm
really
butthole.
you wanna go ahead? Just can you do that intro for us, please?
Go ahead.
Please.
I'll
We
chomp
can't
right through it.
podcast without us feeble women. We need the intro.
God.
Okay, wow, this is really good.
Don't start me off,
the
please, because I will
rails.
drag you. Welcome back to What the Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
And together we are
Ryan and John.
on the couch, as always, producer Cara Tafolla and the lovely Annie Skovmand.
I thought I might have been stripped of the title today. You know what?
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Legally speaking,
So our
You're
first
not, but-
TikTok scandal. Who knew it would come this soon? Annie made a TikTok today, and
Can we read the
people
comments?
really don't like us anymore, which
pretty
is really
funny. I'll
upsetting.
tell you what, pretty funny.
It's like funny, but like
I didn't.
Not really.
You know what? And genuinely, didn't mean to have it be, a burn
it's
on
kind
you
of
guys.
the theme for you in TikTok. Though you always do something like, "Oh, I don't mean it this way," and then the world
Well,
takes it
people just
another
need
way.
to get on my level, okay?
Okay.
It turns out, which I didn't realize that. I guess the world has beef with white men who have podcasts.
Yeah.
So
I
Which
didn't know that
unfortunately
either.
you guys fall
hey,
into that
did you
category.
see this SNL skit of John Mulaney? And
Oh yes,
he
So when-
hosted this weekend, which, by the way, he joined the Five Timers Club. I don't know if
hosting
you're-
5 times.
He's hosted SNL 5 times alongside
Wow.
just brilliant comedians like Steve Martin,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah.
and that's it.
Just Steve Martin
that's
and
it.
Tina
my
Fey.
And after that,
The comment. Sis, I'm blaming you for this. Why do you want to talk to men?
So
Why do you
Oh
want
my
to-
gosh.
TikTok was
wow.
about-
yeah, go ahead.
So I posted a TikTok
Explain
on
yourself.
the podcast about our meeting, and there was a section I took of one of the clips from our meeting that we had that I had recorded.
Pretty funny, by the way.
Which was really funny, and I wanted to post the real thing, and it talked about growing pains, and I was like, "You guys take me from my podcast,
Mm-hmm.
Put me on, you steal me from my podcast, you put me on your podcast.
I had a
I'm not
feeling
good enough?
because you kicked
Not good
into a
enough?"
bit like right in the middle of the meeting, and I was like, okay, she's probably recording
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. In my caption I put on it was, if you want to be humbled, start
a podcast with men.
podcast with men. Because for me, I thought of it as like, oh, they're like my older brothers. They're roasting me. And I was like, oh, like I'm not important anymore. And you guys were like, yeah, no, yeah.
No, you're not.
19.2 thousand views.
Yeah, 19. Yeah, it's,
I'm dead.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
funny.
so how do you plead?
It's a lot of people.
Because how was it responded to?
You know what? It was not good.
Not good.
So what the best part is the first person to respond was our good friend Kat Pinning, who then
So
said,
funny.
she
Stop
said,
giving men
the mics from
microphones.
men,
Stop,
right?
stop giving men microphones. Which so then I'm like, oh, this is all one big roast. I love this.
Funny.
It's so funny because I figured honestly that it would get like 100 views. Because that's,
Sure.
that's where my podcast.
That's what we're averaging out on
like,
these,
It's like 100, 200. It gets up to like maybe the 800s, But I thought
Yep.
nothing of it. Usually I get like a comment from one of you.
Did you
Yeah.
put any hashtags?
Maybe.
You
Did you tag it?
put hashtag
Down with
podcast.
men?
Hashtag
More
Corona.
That'll get the
I did
traction
I
you
just
want.
did hot
Yeah.
hashtag
You did
men.
roasted.
Hashtag roasted.
Nope.
Hashtag
Hashtag
Wattenberg.
podcasting.
Live
Okay.
with men.
Hashtag life with
Okay,
men.
so I see the problem here.
And so the
That's how
first
it got out
one,
there.
This was a targeted attack.
I woke up this morning to it almost being 10,000 views.
So
It was
funny.
like at like the
Did you post it
8,000.
last night?
I posted it last night at the same time we posted ours. And the first thing I thought was, oh, the dudes are gonna kill me.
Yeah, as a fragile man with a microphone, yeah, we're gonna cancel
fragile.
you.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna cancel you.
That's the adjective I love the most. Fragile
Hey, look,
men
and look,
with microphones.
and it's not lost on us the layer of irony with this show.
I know,
Look,
I
we
know.
started this podcast in 2020. Like
Yeah,
we had nothing to do but podcast as two white men. You
Yeah.
know, I mean that's. So
Well,
there's a level of irony already built
there
in.
is.
I did
That's
in fact
funny,
feed into it.
is what
'Cause
I'm
so
saying.
The comments are like, ugh, men with microphones so fucking fragile. And then Brian responds to that with preach.
Hey,
Preach.
hey,
Hey,
you know
preach.
what? True.
And then, and then what Cara read, which
True.
was, sis, I'm blaming you for this. Why would you want to talk to men? And then we got, stop giving men microphones. May I suggest your next podcast be titled No Microphones for Men?
Hey, so
Wow.
hopefully this is what puts us on the map. You know.
I mean, yeah.
Gosh.
If,
And then-
and you know, John and I are such good sports. If we have to take some hits
And I
every,
will.
every
I'll do
now
it
and
for
then,
the
hey,
podcast.
for the podcast,
So automatically I tried to
yeah,
get ahead
come
of
on.
it, right? So
I tried to get ahead of it. I love that.
and that's
The first
actually
comment-
my one note is you should have leaned into it more.
So my,
Are you telling me
I
you're
did
gonna just
comment
take
in
all the
my
steam
comment
out of it?
section. I said I'm recording with them tonight. Do I try to fight them? And I did get some responses of just
Oh?
yes.
Wow.
So after this, outside, you can't hit a girl. That's not fair.
It's
But
true.
I can hit you guys.
Yeah, that's how it works. I know.
Hashtag feminism. Anyway.
Yeah.
But so all this to say, I tried to get ahead of it. There was a comment that was like, I hope this is a joke. And I
Like-
responded to it, and I was like, "No, don't we all? That's the thing that makes it so humbling. You never know, you know."
what?
But it probably was a
That's,
joke.
that's not getting in front of it. That's
Wait,
just
wait,
adding
wait,
more
wait.
mystique to
I
the whole
have-
thing. You're like, well,
So
maybe
good.
it's a joke.
I got
Help
right
me.
out in front of it
Help
and
me, blinking twice. It's a joke.
She's doing what do you call it?
Oh yeah,
Morse
Morse
code with
code.
your eyes. Yeah.
No, and so then I said, you know, in their defense, this was about an hour into our weekly meeting. Let me show you how it goes. And then I tried to grab a clip of all the worst parts of me in the meeting.
but they're immediately followed by us saying something
F
worse.
off, Annie.
But that was on you guys, okay?
Pretty funny,
I
though.
only had so much to work with.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Hey,
true.
hey,
Yeah, a
look.
whole hour's worth actually.
Hey, that's what's great about us. We're just such good sports.
You're
Yeah, we're such
you guys
good
are
sports.
such, such
we
kind
are.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? Somehow you never in the meeting encourage me. Weird. Weird how that doesn't come through in those videos.
I was just waiting for the meeting to be over to watch the really
You
good
were
movie.
you were pretty forward about that. I will
Yeah.
say.
I
well,
did have
because
to.
we were
And,
about to start the movie, and it was 8:00, and we were like,
I was like, oh, the
I have
meeting.
a great
meeting.
section of that meeting where you just hear Cara come in. She goes, "Mister, did you eat my pie?"
yeah. That's,
She's like,
yeah, you're
she's
still
like,
not living that one down.
She's like, I was saving it, and Ryan's like, oh, let's just keep going
Our
in the
first
meeting.
fight.
I had a good
I just-
chunk of pie
Let's
that I was
focus in,
looking
guys.
Our
forward
first
to
fight.
all day.
I
Oh,
all day. The best part was her going, I was saving it for right now.
Mind you, it was pie from 2 days ago on Saturday when
yes.
John and I hung out.
Yes,
I'm
pie
just saying.
doesn't go bad in a day and a half.
And you're right, and it didn't.
I
'cause it
feel
was
like
pretty
you
good.
maybe should have
don't know.
communicated on that though, because I would have
You know,
eaten pie. if
no,
I'd found
because
Lack of
we all
communication, I
we
think,
all
is the
got
biggest,
our own. No, we
biggest
all got
problem
our
in
own pies. Ryan finished his
any
own pie. You
relationship.
finished your pie. I did not
Okay, I don't know
finish
if that's
mine,
details
which means
important, but okay.
I get to save it for
Hey,
later.
hey, for what it's worth, too, I didn't finish my pie. I ditched it because I was done with it.
That's so good.
See,
Got
it's
her.
moments like this. We clip
Got her.
this. Of course, the women are going to drag y'all.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Hey, and you know
For
what?
eating my pie.
Hey.
I wouldn't
Hey,
have it any other
it's
way.
only to elevate you, lovely ladies, on this month.
Yeah, thank you.
And this month alone.
Women's
so
Month.
Don't get
Women's
used
Month.
to
What
it.
this
After
month
that,
is?
you guys are back in the kitchen where you belong.
What is it?
That's
What is
right.
it? I did not say that for the record.
Yeah, that was Annie.
What?
By the way,
I
what
read
the-
your lips.
What is Women's Month? Is it just
celebrate women.
You know what?
celebrate
As a
women,
woman, I
Should we do
celebrate
that
their
every
stories?
month? You should do that every day.
That's what I.
Right?
I
I
didn't
feel
know
like
we
we
had a
gotta do it all
month.
the
I
time.
didn't know we had a day.
Yeah, same.
I
That's-
Wonder
will
what
say-
Men's Month is.
Elevate women's stories all the time. I
I will
think
say
is
I always feel bad for
Men's
fathers.
Month.
every other. Hey, next month.
Next month is Men's Month.
Yeah,
Okay.
Father's Day kind
That's
of
what's-
looks.
Yeah,
That's what's so
Father's Day
funny.
is everything, all the commercials are Mother's Day, Mother's Day. The only people that even cares, like Lowe's and Home Depot, and they're like, "Hey, get your dad a
Yeah.
nice
It's
grill
the
for
same-
Or a
Father's
truck.
Day."
We have a month.
Trucks.
You have a
Men's
month?
month is
Is it
June.
really?
It's
That's
June.
so
Well,
embarrassing.
Father's Day is in June, so
I'm
that
going to
makes
go ahead and
sense.
say in June, I will relinquish my month to you again and continue to support women.
Excuse
thank
me,
you.
June is my month anyways because it's my birthday.
That's right. And
Oh.
that's kind of the sentiment, like whenever a
birthday.
month comes around, like,
Yeah.
right? Like we just celebrated Black History Month. But it's kind of the same thing. Like, let's continue to elevate African-American stories. Like,
Yeah, like
why not?
It shouldn't be just like pushed into 1 month.
Like excellence in all fields, because there is, like, and same to women. Like,
I really think it's because of media. Like
Yeah,
they don't
social
want to
media,
put out
hype train.
like TV. They don't want to put out commercials all the time.
right.
About
we
women's
should, we should
minds.
change the
What?
narrative, right?
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
should be.
Exactly.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
But knowing how media
I get
is,
you.
You know how
Yeah,
media
hype,
is.
we love a hype train.
Yeah.
And we especially love a hype train regarding just war, man.
that
Everybody
coaster?
loves war.
Is that
That's your
coaster broken?
Good transition.
Yeah.
Good transition.
Solid
That was-
transition.
No,
that was
I just
good.
during that last segment, I got a tweet on my phone. By the way, I'm back on Twitter. So
What do you mean back on Twitter?
I'm
You
a
never got
menace.
rid of it.
I never got rid of it,
They
but I
unbanned you?
Yeah, they unbanned me.
Oh.
Dude, I
They
can't
finally
believe
let
they
you
gave me back
out.
your
They
account.
lifted the sanction of me on Twitter that has
Jeez.
been
Oh,
lifted.
Man.
Your last breakdown was pretty
But
rough.
and I almost immediately regret it because it's just full of World
Yeah,
War III
it's-
tweets and
it's
updates
rough.
from the situation in Ukraine, and I'll tell you what, it's rough stuff. It's hard to joke about. You know,
Should we start with and probably end with the statement that when we talk about something like this that's going on that's very serious in the world, we don't really know
Uh-huh.
a lot about it. I mean, like I've done a little bit of research, but not like what we're going to talk about is just what we're thinking about what we know,
Yes.
which is very little.
Yeah.
our surface level understanding of it.
Because we talked about in our weekly meeting.
Yes.
We talked
Yes.
about whether or not we should talk about it on the show and versus not, and I think honestly we just kind of landed at like it would be kind of not like true to the show to not at least talk about it.
Yeah.
or even
and-
fair to like the current standing
Right.
of what's
Yeah.
happening in the world around
Exactly.
us.
And but at the same time we're a little nervous in the sense that everyone's talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And adding to the noise in a sense sometimes can be more hindering than good.
And I think my whole point, because I'll say I was hesitant to like even bring it up as a topic because, like you said, like once you join the narrative, that's the unfortunate thing about social media in this country is that once you join in the conversation, you pick a side.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, Russia shouldn't be doing this. People are dying in Ukraine, and it's like there's this what's the word I'm looking for? There's this phrase that they use in war. It's called the fog of war, and it's more geared towards like being actually on the battlefield where you can't really tell what's going on. You're so like turned around that you don't know which way is up and down. It's called the fog of war, but it's kind of this thing that gets extended to now, right? With social media and the narrative surrounding a situation like this it's the fog of war still. Like
Social media, yeah.
I was seeing posts that were saying that, some of the stuff you're seeing, like videos of what's happening over in the Ukraine, like pictures like of they're taking over the capital. Like some of this stuff is doctored because Russia is simultaneously launching, like social media, like propaganda strikes, basically like getting these
Yeah.
images
Yeah.
out in the world, like sending out false narratives, like news stories and stuff. And it's like, that is the fog that we've been going through, right? In the past
Yeah.
couple of years with social media
Jeez.
being what it is. It's like, and now it extends to, okay, this is happening, in
Well,
war, literally.
And what's interesting is this, the world's been through, I mean, I'm not classifying this as a world war because it's not, but we have been through two previous world wars, and when those were happening we didn't have the kind of connectivity that we have with social media and what you can see. Now you could argue, like you said, maybe we have too much now, but at least we have the ability to kind of, everything is constantly happening, and,
Sure thing.
and there's a overload of information on situations, which again is good and bad. But back when we had the World War I and World War II, there was like they literally depended on the news.
Yeah.
There's only one source, so
Totally.
and that's its own set of things. But yes, what's going on in the Ukraine is is really, really serious.
And I think about like, not to continue to compare it to America, but that's all I can really personally pull from is like, we complain when like our administration, specific, like the White House, like we don't have control of what they're doing. Right. And it's like, okay, well, if you were living in Russia right now and, you know, whatever, you don't really get a choice on what the government is doing, what Vladimir Putin is doing. So he launches this war and we villainize Russia, right? When it's like, well, yeah, there's also a lot of innocent people that are getting caught in the crossfire in Russia. Like,
there's protests going on in Russia.
And did you know that charges you can go to jail for protesting? It's not like it is in America. You can protest here, of course, and not go to jail. But in Russia, if you protest, you can go to jail for 10 years. So these people that are protesting knowing that they will go to jail, most likely for 10 years. Wow. That's how outspoken they are about the situation that's going on. Is they're willing to go to jail to kind of, you know, show how they feel about the scenario.
Truly. I mean,
that is insane. If we lived in a country where, you know, you knew the one thing that could send you to jail for 10 years and like, I'm sorry, there's just like, I don't even know that I could make that choice. Yeah. You know, I don't know that I could go out there knowing like I'm putting my own personal self into potentially a 10-year, you know, jail sentence. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's one of those things that it just like reminds you of the benefit you do have. Like, you know, a lot of life is, you know, the hand you're dealt. And we're incredibly fortunate to live where we do live and to be able to, you know, do something like this, do a podcast and, you know, speak what's on our minds, right? Yeah. Broadcast it into the world is like, that is such a valuable thing. And, you know, regardless of the reach, like that is, we're exercising our right as Americans in this time, you know? So
crazy.
It's kind of interesting to think about too.
And, you know, as we know, like Russia and countries like Russia and China, they control their media. So like,
that's right.
Like you said, that, you know, you don't get the luxury of kind of having your own public opinion. And if you do, it can get you in a lot of trouble, which is really upsetting. But yeah, not a great stuff.
I don't personally think it's going to maybe escalate to World War status, but
you don't think
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I think there's enough people against him that he will somehow get stopped in his tracks.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff that was saying like, because of so many people protesting, like a lot, I guess 150 like higher up Russian officials signed a statement that were in disagreement of taking over Ukraine. And it's like, people are speculating that it's going to turn out more like Russian Civil War than it does World War.
That's interesting. Yeah, I saw too that a lot of countries are icing them out financially. Like Japan is freezing all Russian, you know, higher ups bank accounts.
And they're not going to get any imports from
us, at least. And their conversion rate from American dollar to, which I'm not sure what they're used. I read it, but I can't remember what it's called. They have a different, you know, money thing, and their conversion rate to the American dollar went down a ton.
Wow.
Now, like $1 American is worth like 100 of whatever their, because literally everyone's icing them out.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And so that's kind of this
the ruble.
That's right. That's right.
It's hard because like. We saw that with Germany after World War I, is they had that same thing where like their dollar, like truly they had like stories,
tanking,
you know,
the economy.
Who knows if it's like actually true, but there's stories of people with like wheelbarrows of money and someone dumps out the money and steals a wheelbarrow because that's worth more than all the money in it.
Wow.
And, you know, it's going to get to that point where like, at some point tanking their economy, though it isolates their funding and their ability to get more ammunition and all this stuff. It's also, that's a whole country of people who are going to, you know, then be affected, and that's generational trauma after all this. And
absolutely.
I've been seeing recently, I think it was an Australian bar, or it wasn't a bar, it was like a liquor store, an Australian liquor store, and they were selling the Russian vodka, like I don't know what kind it was. It was one of the Russian vodkas, and they were selling it for like triple the price, and all the money would be donated to Ukraine, and it was only if you bought it, you had to walk outside and they had to watch you pour it out into the drain.
You couldn't
Jeez.
actually. That's
Kind
kind
of
of cool.
Kind of
That's
rough. I don't
That's a
know.
little intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the like American side of that brand is like, no, please, just can we please?
Yeah. It's an American company that was bought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather worked so hard to start this.
But good news, something that I learned recently, is that when they do send out the draft, if they, first of all,
Yeah, we had a wait, hold on. We had a debate about this.
let me back up and say that in order to have the draft, I guess, expired in like 1970 or something, 72 or 73. Like,
Because they had so many people.
post Vietnam. It can only stay in like enacted for however many years.
I thought it ended because there were so many volunteers. Like so many people joined the military.
Vietnam was like the worst
it was
mistake we did.
the last one we ever had was the
Oh.
late 60s during Vietnam.
Yeah. Yikes.
And so you do still have to like sign up for it, I guess. So I'm told.
Yeah.
Yes, you're supposed to at 18 or
Male-
but-
males
law.
at
but
18.
The law.
when they do send out the draft, it starts with the younger generation.
Oh,
So it starts
nice.
19-year-olds and they work their way up to
Yes,
25-year-olds.
yes,
They
you know,
haven't lived as long, you know.
I was
less
thinking
to
about this,
lose.
and I was talking to my dad about it. I was saying,
Go ahead.
and my dad is, he's a crusty old guy, and so he
Oh my
literally
god.
he
Let
always
the record show
he
that
always
no one
makes
else thinks of Dan that way.
No.
As a side note, he
Self-proclaimed crusty old guy.
he gives me a hard time about my generation, right?
Yes.
He's always like,
Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
My generation or your generation would never storm the beaches of Normandy, like, blah blah. And I always like,
Just to be
okay.
clear, is Dan a baby boomer?
He's a boomer, yeah. By 1 year, he's a boomer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Are
he's
you
barely
guys,
a boomer.
are you technically millennials or are you Gen Z?
Doesn't
We are Zillennials,
Yeah.
as we were
Z-
born in
Millennial.
1996, which is technically the in
We're
between.
Okay.
It
If
is.
you look it up, we are technically what's it called?
Millennials.
Millennial. No, we're technically Gen Z.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I refuse.
Yes.
We're not.
I
No,
actually
Yes.
I
We're
think
truly
that,
not.
We
I
are
think
technically
descend
Gen
from
Z.
that.
97's the. Okay, I'll look it up.
Doesn't
I'll look
matter.
it up.
And so he always
The
gives
point
me a
is,
hard
Dan's a
time.
boomer.
Yeah, he always gives me a hard time because he thinks, the millennials and Gen Z are a little softer than the
Sure.
previous generations. And so, this issue in Russia and like on social media sparked lots of interesting conversations.
Sure.
So we were kind of talking about it, and he's like, "Well, you better hope they don't pull a draft because your generation can't
Hey.
handle it." And I said, "You know what? We should send the boomers first."
That's right.
But
They
also-
fought-
They clearly
fought-
know,
They fought in
right?
World War II. Send them to the
But
front
also
lines. They
there's-
know what they're doing.
There's so many, like, how many kids do you know from your high school that
that would
joined the
survive a
military?
war. Oh,
Like,
plenty.
out of high school? A lot.
Sure.
I know people who tried
What do you mean?
and got
So
declined.
what does it matter?
That our generation can live up to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Annie.
Annie?
Oh, here
Cara
we go.
is right.
I know.
The first year of Gen Z is 1996.
Yep.
Okay, what are you reading that on?
So that is on.
That's on Wikipedia. Turns
But
out.
we're Zillennials because it's the first year and it's like,
That's what I'm saying. Is I think
So-
because I've seen on things where it
'Cause we're the
says it's
old
like
Gen
Yeah, 'cause
Zs.
it-
1989 to
Yeah, because
1996,
Oh,
but then it's still
it
19
depends. It depends. So this site
Thank you.
says 1994/6, current age around 25 to 40. So I think it kind of just depends.
Yeah,
I like to say we're Zillennials.
I like
I
to
say
think
Zillennial,
Zillennials because
yeah.
I don't know if I relate necessarily to Gen Z. I feel out of touch from them, but I also felt a few years behind like millennials.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough spot
Yeah,
to be
hey,
in.
it's not
You know what?
easy.
Not easy.
Being
yeah.
cheesy.
Because like Gen Z is like, they were born when iPhones were a thing. Mm-hmm. But it's like,
Yeah.
we were,
Some of
Oh,
them
that's
were.
the
I
same.
mean, just a few years
I think
after
that's
us.
hard because
Yeah.
like I'm a Gen Z, but it's weird because it's like I grew up prior to the smartphone,
Yeah.
but I also grew up with a smartphone. Like I got my first phone
hard
when
to
I was
say.
in the second grade. It's just
I'll tell you
weird.
what, Generation Alpha, I think they're called,
The new
or
ones?
otherwise known as the iPad babies.
Oh gosh.
They're
Oh,
done. I
oh.
think
Dad.
they,
Really?
they'll never see a polar bear.
there's been so many TikToks
Oh
about,
my God.
about like, oh, I was
Maybe in a
raised as an
holograph.
iPad baby.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, my
for sure.
boyfriend was raised as an
Holographic
iPad
boulder.
baby.
Yeah.
So goofy.
But you know what's
all
funny
that
is
said,
like
go
that
ahead.
we're gonna fight that. Like the Zillennials, Gen Z, they see
think
those.
so?
They see because it's like they're little siblings, so they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want.
Yep.
I
There's no
hope.
way I want my kids to turn out like my brother. They're like,
That's true.
no
true.
video
All that to
games,
say,
no
I think we
nothing.
should say if there is draft, we should send the boomers. And I think
Oh yeah, back to that, huh?
that's a great idea.
It's 18 to 25 is the draft.
Yeah.
So, but I think truly you're right. Is that there's plenty enough.
We only have
people-
one more year.
And
We're
it's-
turning 26 this year.
And it's
too.
only men.
This could be
so
our year.
we're out. Booyah.
I don't know
That's
if
also
that's true.
been that's also been a conversation as well
No,
on
that was
social
dropped.
media.
That was dropped a couple years ago. They were gonna vote on it.
They
and
were going to vote on it and it got dropped. Yeah.
to
they got
allow
busy.
women into the draft,
That's
to
fine.
see if they should have women in the draft,
okay.
and they were like,
and they voted to not.
they
No,
just didn't vote on
They
it.
never voted
I'm
on it.
like,
oh, we're busy. Sorry.
I think about like why,
didn't.
and you
ahead.
think about like, oh, like women stay at home, take care of the children. That's like the old like think of it. But then I think about the like detailed like, oh, we get periods, we get like certain
well,
things
I
that
could
could
that's
get
say it this
involved
way,
with
like
it.
logistically, this sounds so crazy, but like logistically, one guy is in the town. You could repopulate the town. One guy and a
It
bunch
is
of
true.
females. You could repopulate that town.
That's true.
Would it be a little genetically messed up? Maybe
a little
No, not
But-
maybe.
will be.
Definitely.
I'm really lost. How did what?
How do we get here?
less guys.
Go ahead,
you can still
continue.
repopulate.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
you need
that's
the
true.
girls to actually carry the children. And everything.
Yeah.
So you're
You
saying
kill off the
you think
girls,
the
you can't
draft is
repopulate.
based on
No, but I'm just saying, like,
Repopulating.
logistically, if they're
repopulating
like,
America?
well,
Yeah.
in a way, if you're gonna think about it, like long
Go
term,
ahead.
you're
Maybe
thinking
like the
Go
Roman
ahead.
Empire was based on that. Like
This is the woman that
That's what
literally
I'm saying. The
every time
patriarchy-
we're together
What do you
says,
mean? It makes sense.
okay, it makes sense for hunter gatherers.
but are we not that at our souls?
We are so this society
Stop
we live
right
in.
here. Stop right here.
You're right. We are. We are so in it. Like we're so advanced. You can go right now. Go to Jamba Juice. You know how long you'd have to hunt and gather to make a Jamba Juice back in the Stone Age?
Oh, are you gonna tell? You're gonna tell the women how we would
I'm
hunt
saying-
and gather?
Okay,
We know,
yeah,
we know how
alright.
long you would
Yeah.
get to get the
Yeah.
berries for the smoothie.
Thank you. My
Thank
point
you.
is.
Do you know how
is
long it would make me to get the ingredients to make a key lime pie?
I'm saying-
5 minutes.
My point exactly is
You're
that
like,
we,
I know exactly
we have
where the lime
progressed.
trees are.
We have
don't know,
progressed
5
as a
minutes. 5
society
minutes is pretty good.
far enough.
And I have my own cow.
Okay.
all right, things are getting out of control.
I'm defending women's rights here.
I'm sorry.
I just
Are you?
feel
I'm
like
sorry,
And I'm,
are you?
I'm
I'm the
with you,
voice of
man.
I'm the voice of women on this show.
Yeah.
I just say is
I won't. I
listen,
promise
listen.
not to make that
is
a
we,
TikTok sound.
We are advanced enough as a society that all of those issues, I feel like we can, and even like childbirth in general is like kind of becoming outdated.
Watch your words.
Outdated. Like it's. I'll say it's
I'm
more.
sorry.
Like,
Have you
I'm
figured out a
confused.
new way to have childbirth?
no, okay.
Not yet,
Listen,
anyway.
I guess
would
the
love to hear
idea,
your
the
idea
idea
of how
of
we birth
a man
children.
and a woman having the nuclear, the idea of the
How-
nuclear
how to
nuclear
family.
force.
pregnant, how to,
of a baby.
Pregnancy, like how you
No,
how
the-
you get pregnant.
Okay, hold on. Let him finish.
Even
Here we go.
even getting pregnant is a novel thing now because it's like, oh, maybe a woman isn't going to just like wait until a man is in her life so she can have a family. Like
Yeah.
maybe she never marries. Maybe she goes on and has a like successful career as
Like the old school family nucleus has been rewritten, and it's not
Yes,
what we
exactly.
thought.
It's
Yeah.
exactly
that's
what
what
he's
I'm getting at is that
Also,
so-
as a side note, we have our vice president is a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like things are
Go ahead.
changing. Things are changing is all.
Can you tell me more about it?
Okay, whatever.
I love her.
All right.
We did it, Joe.
I'm sorry, guys. Hey, we love you.
I
Hey,
don't
this
want
isn't-
you to
this
go
isn't
to-
women against men right
No,
here.
what I'm saying is,
This
Annie,
is just women
is
not wanting to be in the
I
draft.
want you
I
in the
just
draft.
don't-
I want
No.
you
Listen,
specifically
listen.
in the
You.
draft. Is
I'm
that-
actually going to ask.
When
I'll,
the day
I'll
comes-
go, but she has to come
Yes.
with.
has to come with
we
us.
could all. It
All
could be like
four
an
of us.
episode of the podcast. We could do
Oh my
out
God.
on the
the field.
But then Ryan at the last minute is like comes to the plane to
Yeah,
to
go
take
ahead.
off to join the draft.
He's like,
and,
"I'm sick."
and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Cara couldn't come. Someone
I'm
had to
gonna
take care of the
stay home.
cats.
So I'm gonna stay
So
home.
I decided just last
Cara, I
minute,
don't
and I'm
watch
like,
LC.
oh, okay, Cara doesn't have to go to war, but I do.
I have-
Well, I just
have-
bought a plant, so
Right,
gotta
I-
stay back.
Hey, remember,
I just bought a plant, so I'm a.
remember, IBS. I can't be in the
IBS.
draft.
Can't.
That's
They'll turn her
so
away.
unfair.
They'll turn her right away. You were being,
IBS can't go.
and can I say you're being very brave about it? So thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have
Thank
your
you.
own words.
You being
I will-
out, out here in the world, you're being
That's right.
very
There's
brave.
got to be a long line of people before they pull from us.
Well,
That's
right?
what
yeah,
I'm
you
saying,
gotta
baby.
think of
is
like how
we're
many
good.
people are in
Annie's
the military.
Screwed.
Annie is
turning-
younger.
We're
Annie
all
is
turning
older.
26 this year.
Oh, Annie, how old are
is-
you?
I'm just a baby.
Yeah.
I
Rough
just
trades.
turned 24, but I I can't go because of all those things.
Yeah.
I have lots of things. I have 2 papers to write still.
I have 1 paper to
That
write.
actually is a
Get
true
off.
thing, right?
Yes.
Didn't they?
School. If you're
School.
enrolled in college,
Yep.
you don't have to go.
No, it's
I will
not
be
funny.
the fastest student
I
that
want
ever
school.
came to be.
I wonder how many TikTok references we can make before I die right here on the episode.
Before you
Well,
get drafted.
I'm a broken man. Let me tell you.
If you die right
broken.
here, we're going way back.
Did you hear that alarm?
Yeah, somebody's pinging somebody.
I don't know.
I heard a ping.
So embarrassing.
But we
That's
go,
what I heard.
we
Breaking
go
that fourth
way
wall.
back. If we go way back in that podcast history,
Uh-huh.
if you died right here on this floor, we would then get to test out all of our different ways to get rid of a body.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Nice callback.
Chop them
Annie.
up. Put them in all
Okay,
different.
that's
Big barrel.
And then, oh no, you forget my favorite part of your plan. Throw up in the bags.
Yes.
You
in
also
each
said
individual
that.
bag.
I did.
You said this. Throw up in
No,
the
that was
bags.
you. That was
100% you said cut the body into separate bags, throw up in each bag, and then put them all in the
And
same
this is what I
dumpster.
love is that Cara genuinely does not remember
I
at
don't remember
all.
saying throw up.
You gotta
threw
cover
up.
the sense
No.
of the
No.
body part.
Yes.
Yeah.
You dumped the different
Cara,
different trash bags in other people's trash cans,
Yes.
so the scent's
And
covered,
then-
and you added
No.
that I throw up
Cara,
in them.
I'll pull the clip.
Hey,
It
right
was
here,
you.
right here. We're gonna superimpose in the clip. Cut to
Episode 48.
Taking the body
Chop
somewhere,
her up into
to
little
chop it up.
pieces.
Bags.
Yes, and separate it all into different bags,
just
and then
hard to
throw
believe
those bags into different like trash bags that are already full of trash, and then just put it in the dumpster. They'll take it to the dump.
You're a psycho.
dude.
All of her head.
That stuff would start to stink.
Yes.
The
Oh, yeah,
smell of
for
body.
sure.
And-
it's not just like in the dumpster. It's like, oh, that smells like a dead body.
Okay, then I'll make
As a
myself
side-
throw up into each trash bag.
Okay, what is going on?
And Matt, what?
Cara saying it.
No.
What was crazy though
so
is Cara,
funny.
no, you didn't mention other trash cans.
You said the same dumpster. That was the
said-
part
on
that
the
didn't make
same
sense to me.
And I said, well, then it's all going to be in there. And you said, well,
She
just
goes-
throw up in the bags
I
so
didn't
that
say
the
that.
bits
Oh
get mixed up.
My gosh, I
I did
cannot wait.
not.
I'm gonna
Awesome.
pull that up.
I'm so excited, truly, because it imposed on us so much when you
I
said
will
it.
really
never
don't
forget it.
remember
I
that.
will
Because
never forget
Kara's the
it.
sweetest person in the freaking room.
Maybe I don't
And
love
to
that
hear
idea
this
anymore
evil
because I recently threw up and I
Yeah.
remembered how bad it is.
Mommy, I threw up.
Mommy, I threw up.
Yeah, they're gonna send us to the front lines, you guys.
Yeah,
we
we're the
keep
guys.
talking crap like
Yeah,
this.
we're the guys going
Yeah.
up there.
But that's
God.
I've
like,
never fired a gun in my life. Never,
you not?
not even once.
I haven't either.
I've never fired one in my life.
and you think
so
you
me
think
and
we
Andy got this.
Wait. If that's the
How
key-
many times have you fired a gun,
No,
Annie?
if it's me going to the draft or me never firing a gun, I've never fired a gun.
God,
How many?
on
But
record.
don't worry, the draft isn't happening. How many times have you fired a gun?
Probably like I don't know, like a handful. Like we used to do it at
Don't
down at the
downplay
desert.
it. The draft's not happening. Don't
I
worry.
don't know. Like I think
won't draft.
It started with like, oh, here's a
Unless.
BB gun, here's a pellet gun.
Yeah.
Here's just like some random handgun. I did
What-
shotgun
what?
once, and
that
was
seems like a pretty fast progression.
Here's a handgun with no serial
I feel
number.
Like it was like down at,
Go hide it.
Sounds so ghetto. It was like down at the desert. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you just shoot out a piece of wood or a soda can or just the fence
Wow.
or the hill to see how much dust you could kick up. And then you'd be like, well, that
I
was
swear
fun.
have we had this
fun.
conversation before? I feel like this was
No.
like Annie's first episode or
Not
something.
fair.
No,
were
we
like-
did, but
Like
just-
Alpine, like gun tooting.
No, what we talked about was Christmas tree racing.
that's true.
Yeah, that was
yeah,
in
that
there
was
too.
a real.
that
hoot.
was-
Ryan, how
Um,
many times have you
I
shot
have
a gun?
shot a gun. I've
Thrice?
shot two kinds of guns.
Oh,
Just the one time. I shot
I
a
love
handgun,
us.
and I shot a assault rifle.
okay. Why
Oh
is
my
that? Why is
gosh.
that not? Yeah, that's
An
way worse
assault
than.
rifle?
I went to a.
It's like,
Kara's
oh,
shocked.
pellet gun, a
Kara is
handgun,
shocked,
I
by
went.
the
My
way.
assault
cousin.
rifle.
Okay, my cousin is like an Olympic shooter or something.
I'm
Like,
sorry. What? First
Yes,
of all,
she is. She's an
she
Olympic
tours
tour.
around, and this was something that she
She
didn't
better
do
make sure
growing up.
she's not
She just
drafted.
picked up. Oh, she's older than us.
But she's also.
It's like my dad's cousin.
Oh, okay.
And she just picked it up like in her older life. Is like just this
She's
goes
like, "Hey, I
around
wonder-"
and does tournaments.
What
and
is it?
is
She's
really good at it.
sharpshooter?
Yeah, she's a sharpshooter. But she took us all to one of those indoor ranges, like
Yeah.
that cops go and train and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
we went
yeah,
to
yeah.
you
See,
know the
you,
one.
Yeah, the
Kick
one
some
with
doors
the
down.
you
gun
think that
thing.
John and I
Let
would
me
have
tell you.
fired a gun because of our dads?
I
your
would think so.
dads are
Maybe they
both
did they
police
intentionally
officers.
keep you away from that
no,
life.
all of my
I don't
siblings
know.
have fired guns. I just haven't.
What a
Oh, I'm
loser.
pretty sure my brother has.
Your dad was
You're
like,
a
yeah,
loser.
he'll never be drafted.
He's
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
"Don't
don't
wanna
waste your
draft
time with that
Beth.
one, huh?
Beth is going to the front line. This is how your
I
dad
just hope
talks,
there's a
by the
help
way.
desk in somewhere in the military I can go
Well,
to.
you know,
Go
my
ahead. IT department.
yeah,
you
she's
can
like
work
at a desk,
Hey.
my same desk essentially. except
Yes,
for in
they're
the
like,
military.
but now you're working for the
But now
military.
I'm wearing like the camo, the full.
Yes,
you
the
know,
camo.
but I'm
My
at-
papa literally
yeah,
did
yeah.
that. He got out of going to war in World War II
Go ahead.
because he was an electrician
Because he was smart.
and he got sick and he was like kind of like they were on the train and he wasn't feeling good and they're like, hey, is anyone sick before you get sent out? And he was like, yeah, I'm sick. And they lost his paperwork. He knew where his paperwork was. He knew where he was supposed to go. And he was like, I don't know. So finally
Where
they're like,
am I
well,
supposed
crap,
to
we don't
go?
know where we're supposed to put him. And then they go, do you know how to run a projector? And he goes, yeah, I'm an electrician. And they go, oh, okay, we'll just have him do the training
Wow.
projections. And he literally
That's where we go. The
that's
training.
where you
Training.
That's where you
Training.
go.
You think they do
production.
projections still for those training
No,
videos?
I'm just saying like we're
You
the
down there.
trainer.
No, you can
You
run
know
the
that.
slideshow.
Hey,
Go
We're
down
up there
to the
cranking,
slideshow.
just
so you want to be in the army?
Oh my god, that's what they're gonna ask you to do.
Yes.
Can you do that?
They're like, can we just have you do some voice
They're
acting?
gonna pull up this podcast.
as a
They're gonna say,
military?
this bit you did
I'm
here.
like, I served my country.
okay.
You down there? Ever consider being in the army? The first step is to be alive during a world war. What? Wait. Okay. So your dad was in the military. What? When was this?
Grandpa.
What
No.
It was
Oh,
my grandpa.
Grandpa.
your
I think it was
grandpa.
World War II.
Wow. Not.
He was 98 when he died. Yeah. he was
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that makes
old.
sense. So that
My
tracks.
great grandmother.
I thought this was your father,
No.
maybe, and I was like,
My father
Were you
is
not listening?
ancient,
no, wasn't listening. At all.
Not at all.
was ancient.
Not
is
even a little
ancient,
bit.
But no.
Okay.
Not that ancient. But
Jeez.
yeah, and then my mother's dad got out of going to Vietnam, that draft, because he was the sole provider for his family.
Yes.
That her stepbrother's biological mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my grandpa owned a plumbing company, and he was like, "Hey, can't go.
Okay, can't
They
go.
need
Gotta
food."
provide.
And they
Tell
and
you
the
what.
military was like,
Do you
"Okay."
think it was
Tafolla's
easy to
bunch of painters.
Oh, really?
Not,
Do you
not
think it
one
was-
army man.
do you think it was easy to avoid the draft in these world wars? Or do you think it
I
was
bet. I
kinda
mean,
hard?
if you went to school, just go to school.
to-
Honestly, I choose
so
war.
I just
You
Would
wanna
you
just go back to
or
school?
would you go to war?
At
That's
this
the
point,
question. I
School.
war.
would go to war.
I
I would go to
think I know. I know. I'd probably go to school
Really?
because
I'd
I
go to
don't
school.
want to catch a bullet just because.
I'm gonna take one community college course.
yeah.
No,
home
you
ec.
can't
Yeah,
skate
you guys,
by
we
like that.
can't-
It's got to be a full load of classes.
Yeah.
You can't-
You know what?
Oh, I'm gonna take.
It would.
I'm gonna take
12 class
pottery at
load.
Grossmont. Oh, student can't
Hey,
go.
But what's with the issue of school online? It's like, hey, you can do it from the front
Oh,
line.
God.
Oh my god.
It's a
Can you imagine
discussion.
writing an
You gotta
essay
do both.
and then dodging
Hey,
bullets?
hey,
That would be
sorry.
between.
That would be Annie.
Sorry,
Hey,
sorry.
sure.
Shit,
Hold on,
still
I
have
gotta
that
do one
paper I
more
need to
paper.
write.
Oh my god.
And they're like, Annie, we're in the middle of a battle. Like, hold on one second.
Hold on.
Hold
I
on
need
one
to do this
second.
discussion board reply.
I'm
Can
like
you just
finishing
be
my
quiet?
major.
Annie, we can see you're on TikTok. No,
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not.
no, no,
I'm not.
I'm not on TikTok.
Can you
I'm just a
imagine?
baby.
We talk about this.
baby.
This is a world of horror we know nothing about.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Can you imagine? We're just chilling here in San Diego, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, like
We're being
Canada is
invaded.
invading, and there's just war going on in your country, and you're like, I didn't sign up for this. I
Yeah.
didn't, and there's like buildings getting blown up all around me. Like
You brought
that
up
is
a very
crazy.
interesting point because I saw
Yes.
you the day that it had, or the day
It was
after
going
they
down.
had
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
officially invaded that night, and I saw you the next morning, and you brought up such an
You're
interesting
talking about the
point.
9/11 thing.
No,
Oh.
a different thing.
Different
Oh.
thing.
A different thing.
Well, okay. So this is. well,
is
I'll
that?
say the 9/11 thing.
Can
Anyways,
I finish my thing?
go ahead. Finish your thing.
Thanks,
I thought I was
It
yes anding.
Oh
Go
no
ahead.
no!
What
this
was your thing?
This was like, wow, Ryan, you're so smart and deep, and you're just ruining it before
No,
it even
I was jumping
starts.
in. Go ahead, Annie. What
It
was the smart thing I said?
You brought up this point where we were talking about like exactly this, like
Mm-hmm.
how crazy to imagine, and you said this moment where it was like, okay, but like that's just because the people on the television screen, the Ukrainians, look a lot more like us. That's like crazy to us to think about, like, oh my gosh, these cities that look like us. You go to, the Middle East, and that's been their normal for a long
You're talking
time.
about as white Americans?
Well, yeah, as
Yeah,
like white Americans to
sure.
be like, oh my gosh, they're getting invaded. Can you even imagine that?
Sure.
Like we were talking about airstrikes, and you go Middle East. They've been having airstrikes for years,
Years
and
and
it's just
years
like
and years.
airstrike.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's just the Middle East.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in
In-
countries like Syria, where it's
Yeah.
like they've been in revolution for decades, and it's like it's
And we-
just a normal part of life.
And we're just very privileged to, be
Well,
like, that's crazy.
that's
you
kind of the
know?
same as the 9/11 thing. When we talk about 9/11, it was such a catastrophic event for Americans because there is rarely, if ever, been conflict since the Civil War. There has not been conflict on American soil.
Yeah,
So-
truly.
Truly
like continental
an act of
American
war,
soil.
basically.
Yeah.
And so that's why 9/11 was so devastating. When in countries like we were saying, like in the Middle East, and even a lot of parts of Europe, is it goes back maybe one generation, and people are like, oh yeah, this entire town was annihilated in World War II, or in parts of Asia and Vietnam and the Korean War and stuff. It's
Yeah.
And it's interesting, having lived in Hawaii, there are people who very much remember Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
And from all the different islands, we'll talk about being able to see the smoke and hearing the radios go off and everything, and it's just kind of crazy to think about that, just that whole idea of, the fact that was, for Hawaiians and people who lived in Hawaii, it was an act of war on their soil.
Crazy stuff.
What do you think, John?
Well, about all this
Yeah.
in general, I've been thinking about that we're in California. So we are
Yeah.
the closest to where Russia has their nuclear, missiles.
Sure.
And-
I
think
didn't think about that
What
one.
did I do?
Yeah.
I saw someone
yeah.
say, I don't know if they were from California,
So-
but they said we're 56 miles
Yeah, we're
from
the closest
Russian
coast
soil.
to
Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alaska's closer.
Probably thinking of Alaska.
But-
but
maybe.
truly,
Close.
if Russia was going to launch an attack on
Yeah.
the U.S., it would be
It would be
a
us.
coastal
And
city on the West Coast.
San Diego
And,
has one of the biggest-
Probably L.A.
I was
honestly.
also
Parks.
it makes me think of a story that I saw. Jim Carrey told the story about how he was in Hawaii, just doing some sort of project, or maybe just hanging out. I don't know. And in Hawaii at the time, they had a false alarm, a false missile alarm.
All of my friends got it.
Yeah, and it said that basically a missile was 10 minutes away.
Oh,
So he
gosh.
called
I
his
remember that.
assistant, and he was like, his assistant's like, well, what do we do? Do we meet up? And he's like, I'm not gonna make it across town, and I don't want to die in my car. So
Yeah.
he literally sat there for 5 to 7 minutes, and then until they called it off.
Wow.
Meditating and just kind of analyzing everything. And I think wow, what a powerful 10 minutes. And he
Yeah.
writes about it in his book. I haven't read it, but he told that story, and I thought, whoa, what, if you knew you had 10 minutes, what's going through your head,
Gosh.
You
Just-
call the people you love.
I guess,
I
but
guess that's all you can do.
But even that
Truly.
sounds kind of worse. You know what I'm saying? What do you say? You call them to for what? Do you want your last memory to be you hysterically professing your? What would happen?
I would imagine it's well, you have friends that were a part of it. What was
so
that?
I
Oh,
had
yeah.
friends. So that happened the year before I moved to Hawaii. So everyone that I met in Hawaii who had lived there prior had gotten that alert. And the most prevalent story I had from a friend was they were at camp, because it was a church. I worked at a church there. They were at church camp with all these middle school kids, and they have to run into. They were in a shed. They ran into a shed for quote unquote cover with all these kids. And it was, a 24-year-old guy. And he's just standing there with all these other, these people's children. The parents aren't there. And all he could think of was oh my gosh, what do I tell, I'm in charge of all these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to die with these kids, or I don't even know if he was thinking necessarily dying, but he was just I'm in the middle of nowhere with all these kids, and if anything happens, I have to try to make sure all of these kids survive.
Yeah.
And it was just
Crazy.
in a much different way than you originally signed up for.
Keep the small people alive.
Yeah.
He's just and how do you help kids process through that? Here's all these kids, and it's they don't have their phones, but then you're getting rushed into it, and it's okay, kids, we might be dying from a missile, so get
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah,
get in the
I mean,
shed, get in the
I
shed.
wonder if they remember these kids.
Probably not.
I don't. I don't know, probably. Well, so I had an instance where I thought there was a school shooter in my high school. There was a lockdown drill, and my teacher did not know it was a drill.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
she was fully convinced that there was a shooter. Everyone in my class was fully convinced there was a shooter. I was the TA, and I was the only person with a desk that covered the front of them. And I
Wow.
literally pulled it over myself. I had just become a Christian. I had my Bible in my lap. And I'm just
Wow.
and all the kids in my class are in hysterics. Everyone's like, I think I heard bullets.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's freaking out
Imagining
because
things.
we are convinced that there's a school shooter.
Yeah.
And I texted all of my friends. I just said, "Hey, love you," because I couldn't call them.
Yep.
I couldn't, and I didn't want it to be like, "Hey," I texted my parents. I said like, "Hey, I love you." Like, yeah, I'm glad you're my parents. I'm really I'm so grateful to have
Whoa.
you. And I sent it, and I remember my friend Mackenzie texted me back, and she was like, "What is going on? Like, what is happening?" And I told her, I go like, we don't really know, but there might be a shooter. Like we have to figure it out. I don't know. And she was
And she's like, "This is a-
but you know
this is
what's
a drill,
interesting?
Annie.
She,
It's
no,
literally a
she
drill."
literally just went.
I'm next door. It's a drill.
I love you. Like she didn't like it was like almost like that. It was felt so like okay. Well, like this might like now all of our training, years of training, of, like there's going to be a school shooting, like has come to fruition. And then so the way that it ended was the TA from my teacher's sister's classroom comes in and she goes, "Hey, Annie, Miss Merlin needs you." And I go, "I am not going in there and risking my life." Like the teacher
No
runs
way.
over and she goes, "Get on the ground. You're staying in here the rest of the lockdown."
Oh my
drill."
gosh.
And this
Wow.
girl, she's like so confused. And she lays on the ground. She goes, "Y'all know this is a drill, right?" Just like that. And I go, "It's not a drill. There's a shooter." And all of a sudden,
like,
as we're
"No,
having
it
this
is."
conversation,
And
and she's
all
like,
the lights come
she's
back
like
up.
looking at us like, "You guys are insane." All of a sudden, they're like, "Thank you for participating."
Oh
in this
my
school
gosh.
shooting
Oh my
drill."
gosh.
And my teacher, this poor woman who like I knew her kids.
Wow.
She was just like.
If I was
I
the
could
teacher,
just-
I'd be
she
like,
was
"You can all go
panicked.
home."
Yeah, for
She-
real. No
well,
No
we were,
homework for a
and we were
week.
seniors. We were seniors in high school, so she was just like, "Oh my god."
Jeez.
And her sister, like I said, was a teacher. So
Yeah.
then her sister's TA goes back into the room. I come in about 5 seconds later because she asked for me, and that whole classroom is cracking up because they're
Oh
like,
my
"You
God.
idiots thought it
You
was real.
thought it was real."
You thought you were gonna die, you idiots."
John, have you ever had a moment like that where you truly thought
You were
you
gonna
might
die?
die? Because I'm thinking about it, and I don't know if I've ever felt like, oh, I am about
Whenever
to die.
there's turbulence on an airplane.
Well, not truly, but I've considered it when there's turbulence on an airplane.
No, for me.
Oh, you have?
That's for me.
You're like, this is it?
Yeah, every time.
That's so scary.
I don't think I've
'Cause I
had
hate
anything
airplanes,
like
so.
that. I don't know.
I don't think I have either.
You never have
I've considered it.
text.
What's funny is
I
I
haven't.
have those kind of thoughts, and we've talked about intrusive thoughts on this show before. Like, right before I go to bed, I'm like, if I go to bed right now and I die in my sleep, like, I wonder what tomorrow's going to look like. Do you ever have those, like,
Yeah.
kind of...
Yes.
Awful for
like,
Cara.
yeah, no.
She's
She'll
so
She
probably
wakes
be
up
fine.
and you're just
Okay,
like
well,
there.
with his sleep apnea, he stops breathing anyways. I'm like,
Oh, you do that too?
No.
yes,
do
you
that.
do.
I
Yes,
can't.
you do.
I don't
Ryan's in
actually
denial
know.
Of
Yes,
the
you
fact
do.
That he can't
I
breathe
can't
when he's
confirm that.
sleeping.
I
He's
do
like-
that all
he's
the
like,
time.
I don't know.
It's
when to
so
sleep.
bad.
Do you tell him to breathe all the time? Or no?
I have to
No,
make
she
him.
doesn't.
I push
She
him
just lets me go
over,
through it.
and he has to sleep on his side. If he sleeps on his back, he'll stop breathing, and then he'll go.
Because I do. See, not only when I'm sleeping, I started this habit. It's involuntary now. Like I literally do it when I'm trying to focus or I'm like
You
laying
stop
down.
breathing?
I'll hold my breath. For
Oh, well, yeah.
For like 15 seconds, 20 seconds at a time. And so sometimes when Jordan's in the room, she'll be like, breathe. And I'm
That's
like,
just
oh.
when you're focusing.
But like I do it all the time. I literally just will hold my breath. And when I did it when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
Because one time
That's normal.
I was in class and I was holding my breath.
Did you
And
pass out?
No, somebody said
die?
something. I went to go sneeze. I had to sneeze, but I was holding my breath. And it just so I just went like literally like just a bunch of noise came out, and then everyone was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Well, like that's like,
You're like,
when
"Yeah,
I
I'm
would
fine. Are you good?"
when I would teach dance and teach like all these kids how to like turn a bunch of turns like across the floor. They'd go and they'd be all lightheaded at the end, and I'd be like, "You need to remember to breathe," because they're
Yeah,
focusing
that's
so
a thing,
hard.
like a stage thing. Yeah.
I sit there and I hold my breath as long as I can, and I let it all out at one time. When I can't hold it any longer, I just go like literally over and over.
Well,
That's
might be
called
time to stop
living.
that.
That's called living.
I don't know how to stop it. I don't even
Maybe.
know that it's happening.
No. Are you saying that that's normal?
Yeah, is that happening to you?
No, that's not normal because that's.
Are you doing that too?
He's holding his breath until the last possible moment, and I said, "Yeah, that's
So
living."
do you?
You know what that
wait.
could
So you
be?
hold your breath for no reason sometimes?
Wait.
when I'm focusing on something, I'll forget to
Dr.
breathe. Yeah.
Annie in the house.
Annie?
Go ahead.
That's like holding your breath and like slowing your breathing is a form of like calming
Meditation.
anxiety.
I have anxiety
And
for
that
sure.
could be like just a learned habit of like if I
Yeah.
hold my breath and slow my breathing, like it will help me calm down.
That's true.
And like you said, you're focusing when you're focusing hard. That's also probably a more stressful.
Also, when I'm trying to fall
situation.
asleep, I literally do it all the time.
Oh, I
That's
have
a
to
little weird.
when
I don't know
I'm
about that one.
when I can't fall asleep, I have to think about my breathing and intentionally be like,
That's meditating.
sleep.
See,
yeah.
but then
Conscious breathing.
I also have what you have, which is maybe sleep apnea.
It
maybe
is.
not.
He's
Yes,
into
it
Where
is.
this
I
now.
do that, and Jordan
I can't
has to
actually-
like push me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I,
can't
have to put him
actually,
on his
like-
side.
I can't attest for it.
Okay,
I don't
you,
know.
yes,
I'm
you
like-
do,
Seriously?
because you wake yourself up.
Yeah. Okay. That's just like, are you gaslighting me? You know,
I am.
it's like, are
Yes.
you just telling me I'm doing
Because
that?
you wake yourself
It's
up.
convenient.
She's like bored and like awake,
Yeah,
and she's like,
she's like-
"Eh, Ryan
she's
has
like,
another sleep apnea
Oh, you're not
moment."
breathing. Oh, catch him.
You weren't breathing.
I,
Oh,
I
sorry,
know
Ryan,
it's true
oh, yeah.
because I know it's true because I wake myself up and I'm
Really?
like, but I'm not like snorting. I'll literally make a noise like,
Your body's
wait,
gasping.
wait,
for
is it on
air.
my camera? This one's for YouTube.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gosh.
I
don't
do.
know.
I feel like more often than other people, but granted, I've never actually asked other people if they ever do this.
Go
I'll
ahead.
wake myself up because in a dream I'll like trip.
Yes.
Or
And
you'll,
I
you'll
will actually,
all
I'll wake
the
myself
time.
up. because
it's
I
when you're
physically
it's
move.
when you're falling asleep and you're about to hit that like hard sleep and you
Yes.
go
Do you have a dream that you like trip and fall?
Well,
I always
sometimes,
I
yeah.
start to dream where I'm like holding stuff and I fall and then it wakes me up. Like I actually hit the ground.
mine
Yeah.
mine is never a dream. Mine's always just like my body is about to hit like REM and then I twitch and it's like, oh dang it.
Well, and I'm like a sleep. I don't know if I necessarily sleepwalk much anymore, but I'm like a sleep talker and I move a lot in my sleep. And so like there would be times where it's because like I physically feel my like I have lifted my foot and like
Yeah.
it slams back
Oh,
down
wow.
onto my
I-
mattress.
I hate
just
when you
makes
fall
no
asleep with
sense.
one leg like bent.
Oh, yeah,
And then you're like then it falls.
Yeah.
You're like, oh dang it.
Oh, and my poor roommates, every roommate I've ever had has like had these instances of me sleep talking or like they'll try to. I have a really horrible habit if I fall asleep fully clothed. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna go to bed yet. I'm
Yeah, I've
gonna
heard
do
that
one
about
more
you.
thing, and then I'm just like out, and I
That
wake up the
one.
next morning in jeans and tennis
Yeah, I
shoes
do
and
that
my
too.
shirt.
I have to wake him up and say, did you brush your teeth?
No,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
true.
With
that's-
fully clothed.
That's not true.
It's not necessarily true.
no,
Don't-
that,
look at him. He's smirking. He knows it's true.
That's not true at all.
He
no.
knows it's true.
But they've always said they're like, yeah, you just have like, you're just kind of mean. I think my filter of being like nice to people just gone when I'm sleeping, and so they'll be like, hey Annie, you want to get in your pajamas? And I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, when you're
Like,
tired
no.
or when you're hungry or after we film the podcast.
Yeah, I'm like,
Jeez.
get in the car.
It's like,
Get in
in
the
the
car.
Gosh.
go to Texas Road.
Or not Texas. Or Dave's Hot Chicken.
Ooh, tonight?
Ooh. Cara hates this.
As far as the dreams go,
do you think?
I don't have like the falling sequence necessarily very
Yeah.
often, but I will have a very vivid dream, and then I'll come out of it having the same, like I'll be up and getting ready for work or making breakfast, thinking
About the dream.
about like things that I was supposed to do in the dream,
Oh,
and
I've
thinking
done
that
that.
like I still have to do them, and
I've
then
done
going,
that.
wait,
You're like,
I
that-
don't.
Oh, that was a dream thought.
I
a
have
dream.
sometimes I have a really hard time coming out, like waking
Yeah.
up and coming out, and that's even dropping like the mental notes of like, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that.
That's
I
funny.
frequently have dreams about
Really?
putting on a production and having nothing ready to go, nothing.
Wow.
Like especially
Oh,
around
get
July,
ready.
I'll have lip sync ones where
Nope. Get ready for right before your wedding.
Oh,
Nah, I
the
don't
wedding
wanna-
No,
dreams.
you'll have no
Uh-huh.
wedding dreams. Good vibes.
You guys,
Good vibes.
did I bring it up last episode? I have had a string
You
of
didn't.
crazy dreams lately.
No.
An
You
absolute.
brought it up to us. I don't know if we talked about it in the episode, but yeah.
There's been
my
a lot of you having to
all
fight
last
people.
week. Yes, it's
Really?
true. I've had to fight a lot of people. In my
I've been
dreams
fighting a lot of people. I'm exhausted.
You want to be a strong man.
Like 5 days in a row. Maybe
He's getting
I
ready
want to
to
be a
be
strong
the
boy.
strong
I had a dream that I had to fight somebody that came into church during a church service and was like yelling and screaming, and I had to like grab him by the hair and like throw him out of the church.
yeah.
I had another dream that my dad was driving me and Cara out to Santee to the Raising Cane's. And he was getting frustrated because I kept giving him bad directions. And then we got to Cane's, but then he just turned around. He was like,
'Cause he was
I'm
over
not doing
it.
this. I was like, Dad, our car's right there. He was like, I'm not doing this. You've given me bad directions, and like drove away. I had another dream that I got a really bad leg tattoo. And
That
my
one's not a-
tattoo,
the one.
That
my
one's not a
tattoo
dream.
artist was like, and he took a razor blade and cut my tattoo off of my body and was like, you
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had another dream.
Oh my god!
I had a couple of really rough dreams, man.
I guess.
and they're always after I go to work and he goes back to sleep.
It is true. Cara sometimes goes to work at like 5:30 in the morning and leaves, and then I go back to sleep, and I
Get
just
you like
If you want
melatonin
to
or
have gnarly
something.
dreams,
I know.
sleep with a weighted blanket for one night.
oh
A
We
weighted
have
blanket
cats.
will lit.
The cats are kind of a weighted
I'm talking about
blanket.
a weighted blanket.
John,
Do you have a weighted blanket?
unfortunately have ruined yourself with this
I
weighted
have
blanket.
ruined
Oh,
myself
shoot.
with a weighted blanket. I have 2 weighted blankets,
Oh,
a 10-pound and a 15-pound.
I've never tried a weighted
Jeez.
blanket before.
And so, not all the time,
Don't.
but sometimes I'll sleep with both.
I will get too sweaty.
yeah, same.
Let me tell you, it will enhance your dream experience.
Wow.
Yeah, something
I've
about
always
the
wanted
feel
to
like
pressure.
I feel
try.
paralyzed.
I've always wanted to try one of those things that it's supposedly like it's a sleep mask, but then it blinks a little red light, so you're supposed to like see it in your dream, and then you like realize you're dreaming. It's like lucid dreaming.
Really?
So lucid
I don't know
dreaming
if it
mask.
works or not.
People
So
can,
lucid
like,
dreaming mask.
people can like work on lucid
You can like
dreaming,
train
right? You can, like,
yourself
train
to be
yourself
able to
do it.
realize like
2022 is all about
and I've done
harnessing
it.
your dreams.
I've not trained myself to
And
do
a-
this, but I've realized that, and this is a true thing they say, that if you are in your dream and you look at the clock and it says a time, if you look away and look back and it says a different time, you're in a dream. Like it, like because words
Time
don't
is
stay the
not.
same.
Oh.
And this is a thing like Inception too, so I don't know if this is true. But like you look at something.
I don't know after
and
this.
From a movie.
But
like this says what the podcast. If I look away and look back and it says like Bebo's podcast, then it's like, oh, I'm
Bebo's.
dreaming.
Oh, rebranding.
Okay, have you ever woken up from a dream and were like, I need to get back in that dream, and then go back to bed and the
Yeah.
dream
I have.
resumes?
I have.
Yeah.
Such a cool
so
feeling.
many times
Yeah.
I've wanted to do that, and I wasn't able to get back into the dream.
Because I feel like that's a
You'll get to
form
meet
of
up with your
lucid dreaming.
friends.
I guess so. You
Like, because
just
then you
have
hop
to
back
remember
in, you're like, I need to do that, and it happens.
You finish that movie, yeah.
Yeah, finish that
I'm
movie.
telling you but that feeling of needing to do stuff, it more often than not, it follows me out into my real life
I've
a lot.
only ever had that once where I woke up and I didn't realize it was a dream until like a good chunk into the day. And that was I was on a liquid diet.
Oof.
And,
that'll do it too.
and it was like all this stuff, and we were on this juice cleanse and we were on this liquid diet. It was horrible. But I struggled with binge eating when I was younger, and I hadn't binged in a really long time. And I had this dream, and I was in Hawaii, and all my roommates went to bed, and I binge ate all this stuff, and I like fairly clearly remembered what I ate. And I ate other people's food and all this
Wow.
stuff. And I woke up the next morning being like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to tell them. Like,
Oh, I
and
ate
all
their
stuff.
food.
And it wasn't until we're like sitting like hours into the day, like sitting at the kitchen table talking, and someone pulled out something that I had clearly remembered eating.
Whoa.
And all of a
Oh.
sudden I like ran to the pantry and all the food was there and all the stuff. And I literally had to like uncover that it had been a dream.
Whoa.
And then
That's pretty gnarly.
that's when
you
like,
mementoed yourself.
yeah, I literally was like, oh my, I
Could
had
you
to,
imagine
like,
if you would apologize? Hey guys,
sorry I ate all your
Sorry,
food.
I ate all your
And they're
food.
like,
Like,
what are you talking
They're like,
about?
oh, that sucks. And then they're like,
Wait,
oh, the food's
wait,
right here.
what?
It was just so weird because it was like such a like, that's when I was like, wow, I guess that was an issue when I was younger. I was like, I guess that is trauma.
So then therapy.
Gosh, for me, it's the ones where it's
Therapy.
like it's so realistic that you like something sad happens in your dream and you wake up crying, and you
I
wake up
know.
and you're still crying, and you're like, why am I crying?
I had
Yeah.
sleep paralysis on one, and I
Did
no
we talk
joke,
about
rope.
this? I think we talked about
There
this
was a whole
once.
episode, I
On
think.
sleep paralysis, on a different
click on the
version.
link
I woke
below.
up and I was crying from that. It
You were
was rough.
stuck. I remember.
I can't remember if it was last night or the night. I think it might have been last night. You were probably real deep in your sleep.
Yeah.
But I definitely woke up being like, like that kind of like
You did?
trembling. And I don't remember what the dream was,
And
but
Ryan was
I
like-
distinctly remember waking up and being like, like audibly. But he was, yeah, you were probably
We've
out.
also, you know,
Ryan was like,
I'm there not sleeping.
Kara was like, oh, I had a bad dream. I was like, trigger warning. Trigger warning. Big noises.
Trigger warning after the
Ryan was coming back from another dimension, just like,
You know, okay. I've been thinking about, we talked about superpowers.
after you do it.
no, trigger warnings work that way. Trigger
That's how
warning
trigger warnings
for
work,
the record.
right? We've talked about like what superpower you want before,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about if you guys saw the Doctor Strange movie. There's this part of Doctor Strange where he's asleep, but he's astral projecting out of his
Yes.
body, and he's reading,
Yes.
and he's just like
To
studying how
learn.
to be a magician or whatever.
I would
a
love
wizard.
that.
You gotta be a magician. Do you want to see
If you
parties and
could
bar
let
mitzvahs?
your body, he's like,
He's like,
If I could let my body
he's like,
learn a
he's like,
skill,
hold on, stay right there. Quarter out of here.
if I could let my body learn a skill while I was sleeping,
Subconsciously, yeah.
if I could tell my body to
if you could
freaking
let your body
stretch
sleep, but you
while
could
I'm
do other
sleeping,
stuff.
Well, that's a physical thing.
Read
You have to, it has
articles.
to be mental.
it doesn't have to be.
I would. By the way, if I could eliminate one thing in this life, I would eliminate sleeping. If I never had to sleep
Same.
again, I would
You'd like
100%
Okay,
do
you'd
become
that.
a vampire.
Edward
Yeah.
Cullen it.
Oh,
Become a
yes.
vampire.
1000%.
Would you be a vampire?
Okay,
if
first
you
of all,
could?
I just want to point this
Yes.
out, right?
The answer to your question,
You're
yes.
a
Thank you.
vampire. Your
Vampire.
whole family's vampires.
Presumably.
You've been alive for,
It's a lot of
Hundreds
family.
of years.
Hundreds of years.
You're
Dope.
far beyond. Get out of your high school biology class.
No, because they're hot. They're hot teenagers.
You're like 300 years old. Don't be
Yeah,
attracted
but they're
to
hot
teenagers. you
teenagers.
freaks.
Oh, are there other 300-year-old
Well,
people
no,
be
it's
attracted
'cause
to?
they-
All the other ones that live in their house,
There's
they're
other
10-year-old
vampires.
siblings.
It's
They're
because
related.
it's because they never
with each other
age.
and
It's because they never
stop.
age, and if they kept
From the
hopping
time
to
they
different
become a
high
vampire,
schools, people
right?
would be like, "Why is the same?
just-
like we're recognizing the same people at high
No,
schools."
but she's saying in general, like,
Just like-
you're 300, like
Oh.
don't hang out with
just-
18-year-olds.
Yeah,
Like,
18-year-olds, and you're like, wait, are there other
Hopefully
people that are
18-year-olds.
300?
Yeah. At some point, why
How
wouldn't
old
you
was
just
Bella?
like? She was like, yeah, 16, 17. I don't
no,
know.
she's 17. She's a junior. She's
A
a
little
junior.
sus.
She's 18.
It's a little
They're
sus.
like, hey, by breaking dawn, she's 18. It's
Yeah.
illegal.
She can make her own
Oh,
decisions
God.
now,
Vomit.
Mom.
She's an
Vomit.
adult.
These questions are
Robert
interesting.
Pattinson's now the new Batman.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know
How do you feel about that one?
I love Robert Pattinson.
Robert, I'm doing some great podcasting over here, by the way.
Yeah.
The little circus song I've got going. Robert Pattinson is the new Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a tweet that he was like super emo boy the whole time.
Yeah.
That
And,
is
like,
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Come
Is that
on.
interesting still?
I was joking. I was saying all the different Batmans they had. I wonder if they're going to do a multiverse
Batman?
Batman
No.
in a couple
Dude,
years.
DC could never
They'll
pull
do an
that
SNL
off.
skit, and that's about as close as they'll get.
Who's your favorite Batman? It's gotta be Christian Bale, right?
I really liked Christian Bale. Christian Bale in real life, though, I've heard is pretty rough, but he did a great.
Doesn't he
Batman,
talk
I
like
thought.
this?
He talks like this.
I think mine was better.
He talks like this. I thought he was good. I don't know why they didn't.
Michael Keaton, not a fan.
Well, I just have. Well, it's hard for me.
George Clooney.
I've told you this before. It's hard for me
George
to
Clooney
enjoy
was
older
Batman?
movies for me.
Sure.
So that I think that's they're great actors. I think if they were that age and did it now, I probably would like them.
Sure.
But I just liked the whole cinematic experience that
I like Adam West. So you don't like any old movies?
No, I like old
Starting
movies.
when?
It's hard to
Starting,
it's hard
like,
for me
before you
to
were
watch
born?
old movies. I'll say when I watch them with other people, I do enjoy them. It's hard for me to make the decision to watch an older movie. Like I just love when
It's such a big category, an older movie. I mean, like,
I don't
there's
know.
a lot of movies.
Yeah, I guess like no, for sure, 100% could never watch anything in black and white. I just couldn't.
Really?
I just can't. I don't know why.
Older movie I actually
No appreciation for
hate.
Hitchcock.
Oh,
I like Hitchcock, and I've seen those movies.
dude,
and like I
you
said, when
gotta
I
watch-
when I
you watch
watched
Rear
them in
Window?
film class, yes, when I watched them in film class, I enjoyed them because I was with a group of people. We were
You're
all
not gonna watch
analyzing
on
it.
your own, yeah.
But on my own, I just would never choose a black and white
But
movie.
is
and
it a movie versus like what about like for me? I'm just not a movie person. For me, I like
that's upsetting.
I grew up watching all the old Twilight Zones.
Yeah.
And I would sit down and binge old Twilight Zones, which are all in black and white.
Yeah.
But like you can't get me to sit down to watch.
Is it the time frame? Like a Twilight Zone episode is digestible in
Yeah.
15 minutes
30
or whatever?
minutes.
Yeah. It also reminds me of my dad. My dad, he's practically, he's ancient.
It's the
so-
way we're
Twilight
raised, I guess.
Zone.
We're a bunch of movie junkies
Yeah.
at my house.
Like I said, I took a film class in high school, and I wish I could take it again.
Didn't
Like,
work.
It was
It
so.
sounds like.
No, I enjoyed
like
all
waste
the
of
movies I
money.
watched. I just I need a.
I wish we had a film
If I'm
class
gonna
in high
watch
school.
old stuff,
What the heck?
I need someone there to like talk
Like a
about
girl.
it. Okay.
You need to get laid at the end.
All right. You
Is
know
that
what?
it
This is
Why?
done.
Hey,
You know what?
hey.
Gosh.
No, I get it. I totally get that. I'm
you.
someone.
You have to Netflix and chill. Or
I'm-
cinema and chill is what you're saying.
Yeah. Sure. That's the condition.
I-
in which I'll watch an old movie.
You're like, yeah, I'll watch it if
But,
like
like,
somebody's there with me.
you know what I meant. You know what?
I'm
You're
trying to
always
understand
twisting
what you
my-
mean.
That's how
I'm
I am
trying
with
to
all
understand.
movies, and
Daddy.
I've warned you before. We've gotten to the movies. I talk during
Yes.
movies. All
That's
of them.
Well, we
fine,
all
and
like
you
to
can
talk.
talk during the movie. You just gotta like it. Being there, you gotta like being there.
All right.
and
Well,
watching-
speaking of movies,
consuming
we're
a
going
movie.
to a
Movie to
movie
go
after
to.
this.
Oh,
so
I'm so excited for this movie. John's gonna hate it. Annie won't like it. Too long.
Unless
Too
it's
long.
in black
John and
and
I
white.
will sit 3 rows late.
It
down,
will
and
be.
we'll just talk.
It will be in black and white, and it will be 15 minutes long.
That's
so we're
right.
stoked.
Oh, perfect. Love it. Quirky.
You want me to play us out?
Yep.
Please,
Play
please.
us
Let's hear it.
out.
Put the mic down. Thanks.
I can't. I'm so. Are we gonna get back the old?
Oh gosh.
Oh, I got a feeling.
Hey, John, now. Bring it in.
I don't know.
I've got a feeling.
That was yeah.
I've got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. A feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night.
Oh, yeah.
That tonight's
Yeah.
gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. Feeling.
Nice.
Wow. How
That
does
was
my
free.
mic go?
That was free.
First one's free, the next one's gonna cost you.
That
We'll
was
see you
free.
next week on
What
the Podcast?